This episode of the Commercial Real Estate Investor Podcast is brought to you by my CRE Accelerator Mastermind, where you'll get access to my step-by-step investment blueprint, essentially a library of resources on how to invest in commercial real estate. You'll get connected to a supportive community of other commercial real estate investors that are doing projects just like you. You'll get personalized coaching and feedback from me every step of the way. Go to www.crecentral.com to learn more. Welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Investor Podcast. Today, we are live with Andrew Llewellyn. He's the CEO and the founder of Super Stays STR. And we're going to be diving into a really cool mini boutique hotel that he designed in Louisville called the Swepson Guesthouse. The link is in the description below. Y'all go check it out if you were ever in the Louisville area. Hit Andrew up. It's a really cool project, and I think that it's this next step out of Airbnbs, right? Airbnbs were the craze for quite some time, and they're kind of starting to fall off to boutique hotels. And so what Andrew has done, which we'll dive into today, is kind of created this mini boutique hotel out of this really awesome historic property in downtown Louisville. And of course, to note, he's a CRE Accelerator member, which is pretty cool as well. So Andrew, that was a brief introduction of yourself, man. Tell us a little bit more about your background and kind of how you fell into this property.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Tyler. That's awesome. Glad to be here. Hey, and the CRE group has been game changing. Not only the coaching calls with you, but the pod I'm in. Some great guys in there. You know, Marcus is a big guy on your channel. He's in there. It's been, all those guys. Larry. Yeah, I can go on, but what a great value you're providing the community. And so, big thank you to you.
Thank you.
About me. Spent some time early on, had no idea what I was doing at an investment firm, and turns out we were buying bank-owned real estate. 2012, it was a very manual process. Andrew, intern, called all the regional banks in the Southeast, give me your REO list, and compile the list, and then we'd go check out all the properties, make sure they were real, and those guys would call like Sequoia Bank and, get all the capital they needed, and then they sold those off over the next 5 years. I had no idea what I was doing at the time. That was crazy to reflect upon how great of an experience that was, and to now be in real estate. Spent some time at Papa John's Pizza. That was super fun. Naturally, after that, started a restaurant. Don't ever do that. It was super fun. One summer, it was an ice cream shop, 2 ice cream shops. We ran an ice cream food truck with it as well. I had 40 high school girls on staff, so that was like crazy one summer. And we wrapped that up, and now I've got the Swepson Guesthouse, and we're working on another one in Central Business District of downtown Louisville. And just happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, before we dive into this property, let's dive in more on the hospitality side of things, because obviously having the restaurant, dealing with a lot of employees, that's a big aspect of managing hotel operations is managing a team and dealing with employees. I mean, what lessons, like hospitality lessons, did you take out of that experience and bring into, your next venture, Swepson Guesthouse?
Yeah, I think just, really, really finding your customer type is a big one, and continuing to refine that customer type and not being for everybody. And then, second of all, understanding that you can't really set price. Marriott, Hilton, back in the ice cream world, Baskin Robbins, Dairy Queen, those guys set price. So you really have to find some other reason to, convey to the customer on why they should pay you more than they're paying, the kind of, call it the commodity price. So we've taken that lesson here, and we mostly host large groups, and that's the biggest thing. And then the employees, you've got employees, and they can be challenging at times. I've got a great crew here right now, an amazing crew, but it's taken a lot of hard work, culture building to get that crew in here. Get them trained, keep them around. We're figuring, at this point, it's cheaper to train them, adjust behaviors, tell them they're great, than to try to just find new people and run through people. Really value the relationship with those people doing the groundwork, the hard work day in and day out at this hotel. Those cleaners. I try to on Sunday. I try to come in and see them.
Yeah,
They're doing the heavy lifting.
that's great. Well, so tell us a little bit about this property. I mean, how big is it? How many rooms? How'd you come across it?
Yeah. So it's currently it's 10,000 square feet. We've got 15 bedrooms, 10 bathrooms, 5 kitchens, 6 living rooms. Our third floor is really set up to do corporate retreats on the weekdays, and then we completely flip the script on the weekend and we do like bachelor parties. So split the dining room table apart, beer pong tables. It's crazy. So it's a fun little business. Before I purchased the building, it was an office space and had been it's kind of a funky little residential type office space. And the first floor needed a complete gut and renovation. So we did that, put 2 apartments in, a total of 7 bedrooms between 2 apartments. And this is where we're at today.
Yeah, if you're joining us live, I'll see if I can get Andrew added in here with me. There we go.
Our third
This
floor.
is this is the third floor right here.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, you could tell it's very well set up for corporate retreats, right? Because you've got this bigger open space. You've got a massive table right here that everybody could sit at. I mean, it's a really cool. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say big table goes in front of the TV. You can run a proper corporate retreat, AV hookup. It's the real deal and it's private. That's the other thing that people like. It's very private. You don't have to worry about people walking in on you. You can talk about whatever you need to. And then the camaraderie of being in the same place as well.
That's right. It's really interesting. I mean, seeing, 15 bedrooms, 21 beds, you can accommodate up to 42 guests. I mean, how did you come up with this idea? Like, how did you find the property, and what sparked it? Like, what we should do is this mini boutique hotel.
Yeah. So the whole thing was like a complete accident. I was telling you before, I had the ice cream shop during COVID. We had started running a wholesale bakery because, like every entrepreneur that's undisciplined, I got bored and was like, we should start another business. So running a wholesale bakery to coffee shops, and we needed to get out of the back of the ice cream shop. So my father was like, stop paying rent, like just go buy something. And I was like, okay, cool. So this had an Airbnb on top. It was 50% of the way it is today. And then 2 long-term tenants on the second floor. And I was like, well, that kind of pays the mortgage as we build out the first floor for the bakery. The city had other ideas when we did all our due diligence, talked to them. Sure, you can put a bakery on the first floor. And then during permitting, they changed their mind. And our $250,000 bakery went to well over $500,000. And at 4 a.m, I woke up in night sweats, and I'm like, I don't think we can sell that many blueberry muffins to recover $500,000 worth of blueberry muffins at wholesale pricing. I was like, I don't think the math works. And I thought back to a buddy of mine. He had mentioned he has some Airbnbs. He's kind of a residential real estate guy, and he was like, you should just Airbnb this whole place. And I was like, Luke, like, you're out of your mind. Like, that's crazy. And I was like, I don't know. Luke's mostly right about stuff. So I got on Excel at like 4 a.m. and modeled it out, and was like, I saw the net income number, and it was very clear that we should scrap the bakery and the ice cream shop and get in the hotel business, or at the time, multiple Airbnbs in one spot. And then through that, just kind of the mind starts running, and I was like, I bet there's large groups that come to Louisville. Let's try to like go after those groups and see if there's a business there. And if there's not, we know we can run this 5 Airbnbs 5 times 5. But we found a lot of operational efficiency in the large group, so we just kind of kept digging away at that, trying to pull all the meat off that bone and to get to where we are today.
Yeah. So break that down for us a little bit more. So you've got individual levels or rooms or sections that
Yeah.
people can rent out, but you can also rent out the entire place. So kind of walk us
Yeah.
through how you've organized that.
If you pull
Yeah.
our website back up, and then it's got a great little visual on there. I think
Yeah. On the
maybe
main page.
on the main page there. Yeah, it's got the three
Yeah.
listings right there.
This one right here.
So if you see there, we've got 3 levels. And for our groups, we have these 3 listings, and there it's the full building buyout, the second and third floor, and then the full first floor. And then the whole building is comprised of 5 units, 5 kind of apartment style units. And when we combine those, that's when we like those large groups. Gives them
Okay.
a
So
place.
the way this is broken out, this is the ground floor, and these are 2 suites on the ground floor. You've got 2 suites on the second floor, and then 1 full suite on the top.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So when you're going through this process, I mean, Airbnb is those are a dime a dozen, right? But this is something that's really taking it to the next step. I mean, how do you test this model out, or how did you kind of underwrite, like, okay, well, if we're going to do something that could potentially accommodate 42 guests across 15 bedrooms, was it, hey, let's just build it and figure it out from there, or were you able to find comps, or what did you guys kind of walk through?
Originally, when it was built out, it was underwritten as 5 Airbnbs,
Okay.
and just with the idea that we could do these large groups, because I knew we could always fall back on 5 individual Airbnbs. We knew that worked. We knew Airbnb worked in Louisville with the bourbon travel, but it was kind of just roll the dice and throw those listings out there and see if they would book.
Yeah.
They did.
So when you're going through your marketing, like, how do you attract large groups, right? Like, are you doing any SEO marketing? Are you writing blogs, doing videos? Like, what does that side of things look like to attract those bigger bookings?
Yeah, yeah. So luckily, at my time at Papa John's, met some really great people over there. One of them, Bernie, we kind of use him as our CMO on demand, and he's always guiding me and what I need to do next on our website to drive that SEO, and to attract large groups, to attract bachelor parties, to attract these very specific types of call them customer avatars that book that need to sleep 15 to 42 people. And then
Yeah, that's
I hope Airbnb is not listening, but we've gotten really good at getting Airbnb that reach out to us there.
yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the like, especially when it comes to boutique hotels. I mean, the big thing that you're wanting to focus on is really crafting the guest experience so they book directly with you the next time that they want to come back and stay. And this was something that you and I talked about early on with this project that you guys do. Is it's not just a place to stay. Y'all also help plan out the entire trip to Louisville. So can you kind of walk us through that? What that looks like?
We kind of look at the guest journey, I guess holistically, is like you're coming to Louisville, and it's like the reason you're going to rent an Airbnb over a hotel is the experience with the group and the togetherness and the privacy. So that's an experience in itself right there that we try to really foster. That's one part of it. We try to have a cool place that you want to be. That's another part, in a cool neighborhood. Again, another part, walkable coffee shops, bars. People get dropped off on Ubers, or they drive. They don't want to hop, in 6 cars to go someplace every time. And then on top of that, we've all been on that boys trip, and somebody plays cruise director the entire time. And that one poor guy, it's not very fun because he's like herding cats. So we try to really solve that problem for our bachelor parties and our corporate groups through kind of travel agent services again, by planning bourbon tours, events, dinner on site, reservations, you name it. We try to build them in an itinerary.
Yeah. How
And,
has that? Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, again, that's kind of our differentiating factor that I talked about before. Marriott won't do that for you, but we will.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, how has that impacted, the guest experience, guest rebookings? Because it seems to me like, one, there's not very many opportunities to do larger group bookings in most cities, right? In this
Yeah,
fashion. But two, having somebody that's going to plan out the entire trip so you don't have to worry about it. I would imagine you get a fair amount of repeat guests. Is that the case?
yeah, yeah. We are. We actually, yes. Funny enough, yesterday we booked. We toured a group through that wanted the place for their family for Thanksgiving, and then after those people left, the people that came last year for Thanksgiving called and was like, "Hey, we want it again." So we were able to like use that urgency and all those marketing skills of like, I got two groups here that want the same dates. Somebody put their credit card in to book it. And they both talked about that they wanted it for the experience and they wanted it for the services that we offered, and our corporate groups are taking that as well, because with the corporate groups it's a little different. It's like some intern got this thrown on their plate and like their job's on the line of giving these executives an amazing experience in Louisville, and like Louisville's a tertiary market and you're like, I don't even know how to go about this. It's not like Nashville that they've got concierge services and things like that.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that it was gonna cost somewhere between 250 and $400,000 to build out the restaurant. You nixed that out of the budget. What did it end up like roundabout numbers costing to finish building it out as an Airbnb? Because like you said, it was an office before, right? So this is kind of
Yeah.
a conversion project.
Yeah. I think to do the renovation on the first floor was around 450,000. But when you put that against the income it would have,
That's right.
it was an easy deal to do
Yeah.
versus blueberry muffin for $1.50.
Muffins versus heads and beds, a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah.
and,
Yeah. Yeah.
and a bit less work on the hotel side of
A
things.
lot less work. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I'll
Well,
say
I know.
I never watched the show Bear because it hit too close to home.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I've got friends in the restaurant business that are like, that's basically a documentary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I know you're working on doing more of these concepts. I mean, what lessons learned would you take away from your first version of this? Were there things that you were like, we have to do this again because it was so successful? And what did you have where you're like, you know what? I wish we hadn't done that, and here's why.
I think there were places that we spent too much time, attention, and money on that we thought it would make a difference to the guest. And it turns out it just doesn't. Like a little nicer, like door handles, like it doesn't matter. They're going to get scratched up. They're going to break them. They're going to use them, way harder than you thought they would. And you're going to replace not door handles specifically, but you're going to end up replacing items that get touched. Dishes, that's a big lesson that we learned, that we took from the ice cream shop and brought into here was we have just basic Amazon plates. Anything that's like a usable is like easily findable and replaceable, so that we don't have a hodgepodge of different dishes and cups and plates. It makes it easy.
Yeah, because those are getting broken no matter what.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, with that many guests, yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
I've got TVs, I've got glasses, plates, furniture. I've got basically a whole nother Airbnb in the basement of this place ready to go for when stuff gets broken.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny. I mean, that's one thing that you do have to do. I mean, we're going through the process right now of ordering furniture for the boutique hotel that I'm doing here in Nashville, and we're like, okay, let's get extras of everything and put it in the basement because we know stuff's going to get broken. We need to have something on hand to just be able to replace it so that the next guest coming in doesn't have a lesser experience because of that. Andrew,
And how are you going to source that in 12 to 18 months when that SKU is like no longer made?
gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Andrew, this has been a great conversation. We've got to do a story of the deal on this eventually. It'd be fun to do a deep dive on this project.
For
What's
sure.
what's next? What's next for Swepson and Superstays?
So we've got another one. We're going to call it A12. It's down in the central business district of Louisville, about 2 blocks away from Whiskey Row. It'll basically be twice the size of what we have now. Same concept, all the learnings applied, and hopefully we can do a story of the deal down there and get the whole accelerator group up here to stay with me and host a get together.
Yeah, we'll have to rent the place out for a weekend, get a bunch of people out there. That'd be a lot of fun. Get out there and check out your properties. Well, Andrew, thanks for joining us, man. For those of y'all that are listening, you are more than welcome to check out the description for the link to Swepson Guesthouse. It's pretty easy. SwepsonGuesthouse.com. Go check it out. I think that this is a great case study on really doing the next level Airbnb, really kind of leveling it up and creating more of a commercial real estate investment for yourselves. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see y'all in the next one. This episode of the Commercial Real Estate Investor Podcast is brought to you by my CRE Accelerator Mastermind, where you'll get access to my step-by-step investment blueprint, essentially a library of resources on how to invest in commercial real estate. You'll get connected to a supportive community of other commercial real estate investors that are doing projects just like you. You'll get personalized coaching and feedback from me every step of the way. Go to www.crecentral.com to learn more.